All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me just say a good night to you, Mr. Speaker. Let me say a good night to all of my parliamentary colleagues and the listening and viewing public. Mr. Speaker, my task here this evening has just gotten 10 times harder after hearing such a spirited contribution by the Minister for Education, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I'll try a thing. Mr. Speaker, it's with great pride and conviction that I stand before you today to support this 2024-2025 budget presented by the Honorable Minister for Finance. The theme of this year's budget, partnering to build a platform for sustainable growth and development, encapsulates a collective vision for a resilient and prosperous Dominica. Now, Mr. Speaker, I've been following the budget debate over the last couple of days, and today I was sad to hear Senator Paris say that the private sector is disappearing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I consider that to be a total departure from the reality, this reality in Dominica. And what he has effectively done is totally disregard the many small businesses that have emerged over the last couple of years. And Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking to Aki's Printery and Architectural Designs, Amari's Home Decor, The Watering Can, La Gressa Bella, Life is Beautiful Motors, Rocky's Electrical Services, Grease Punky Mechanics, Generation Honey. And Mr. Speaker, right in Marigot, we have La Petite Bistro. Mr. Speaker, I thought he said he had eyes. How come he didn't see that? And Mr. Speaker, even with La Petite Bistro, they have even expanded. I don't know when last you've been to the airport, Mr. Speaker, but they're there in the airport as well. So contrary to what he is saying, Mr. Speaker, I don't see a disappearing private sector. I see a private sector that is growing. And Mr. Speaker, if you allow me to continue, I have names there, you know. And that's names I just wrote tonight there. There are a lot of businesses in Dominica that have started, that are growing, and that are expanding and contributing to the economic development of our country. So, and Mr. Speaker, you know, I know where that type of rhetoric came out from, you know. That sounds to me like somebody who was sitting down on Facebook and probably saw a few business closures and decided that that was an entire economy and that was an entire private sector. And Mr. Speaker, that quite frankly to me, that's reckless. That's reckless, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also heard Senator Paris speak about us criticizing young people. And I took total offense to that. Because the truth is, Mr. Speaker, it is him and his party are the ones who criticize our young people. Every day, Mr. Speaker, they're on the radio talking about, oh, young people must open their eyes, and oh, the young people not doing this and that, criticizing our young people. But what they fail to realize, Mr. Speaker, is that the young people have no time for rubbish. And they stand firmly with the Dominica Labour Party, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I delve into the specifics of the budget, because, you know, let me get back to the reason why I'm here, it is crucial to put it into context. So allow me to speak directly to my generation, which is probably the start of the I want it now era. Yes, we want to see things happen, and we want to see things happen quickly, and we want things to turn, Mr. Speaker. We want to see things turning. But we must not forget from where we came and the catastrophic events that have struck our nation in 2015 and 2017. These natural disasters were unprecedented in their devastation, affecting every aspect of our society and economy. And Mr. Speaker, for the member of Marigot to be so careless in his rhetoric and to compare our progress to that of St. Kitts, Antigua, and St. Lucia overlooks completely the unique challenges that we have faced and continue to overcome. Mr. Speaker, this is a necessary reminder because it is necessary to appreciate the strides that we have made. And I feel compelled to do so Because while we may want to see the renovation of more playing fields and we may want more nightlife and we may want more things for teenagers to do, and bear in mind all of these things are coming, Mr. Speaker, but as Honorable Henderson reminded us yesterday, we have spent millions of dollars in recovery efforts over the years, much more than any other OECS country. Yet still, notwithstanding the hand that we were dealt, we are moving forward and swiftly at that, Mr. Speaker. So here it is. We're fixing, we are building, and we're still paying for recovery all at the same time, Mr. Speaker. And I think that, as a younger generation, we need to be a bit more patient, have a bit more patience, Mr. Speaker. We need to become aware. And we also need to appreciate the progress made by this Dominica Labour Party administration. Mr. Speaker, like our Prime Minister always says, we need to look at the glass half full and not half empty. Mr. Speaker, the 2024-2025 budget clearly demonstrates progress. There is evidence of progress in the advancements in education, with initiatives aimed at enhancing our educational infrastructure and curricula to better prepare our youth for the future. There's support for small business development. And Mr. Speaker, one of the standout features of this budget is a significant allocation for our international airport and other infrastructural developments. Our roads, our bridges, ports, and airports are the lifelines of our economy. And by investing in modern, resilient infrastructure, we are not only improving the interconnectivity within our nation, but also enhancing our competitiveness on a global stage. Mr. Speaker, diving into the budget, we see an allocation of $17.7 million for the commencement of works on the Louvière to Grand Bay Road. This investment is a significant step towards the sustainable development of communities in the South. And, we know of the usual benefits of a road rehabilitation, improved signage, better drains, lighting, safety features, etc. But we also know that Grand Bay is renowned for its vibrant cultural heritage and rich traditions. That's right. And by enhancing accessibility, Mr. Speaker, we will open up new prospects for tourism, attracting visitors who will contribute to the economy and celebrate this unique aspect of our culture. And, Mr. Speaker, I'm not just saying that for saying its sake, I've seen firsthand what an improved road network can do. Ask any one of the tour guys on the Lai River doing river tubing, Mr. Speaker, and they will tell you that this past season was their best season in a long time. And, Mr. Speaker, this is directly related to the completion of the road between the Hillsborough Bridge and the York Valley Bridge. I might have to translate that, Honorable Henderson. But, Mr. Speaker, look at just today, Mr. Speaker. We had Disney in port. During the off-season, I might add. And we had fellows working, tour guides working 3 full tours on the river today, Mr. Speaker. This road has brought immediate returns to the tourism sector and the livelihoods of young men in the communities of Layu, Taru, and St. Joseph. And I must, Mr. Speaker, once again, register my commendation to Honorable Lloyd for seeing this project to its completion, Mr. Speaker. And, just to further underscore the importance of a modern road network, we will not be talking about geothermal and hotels and cable cars in the Roseau Valley had it not been for this government who completed the Roseau Valley Rehabilitation Project. Mr. Speaker, I remember being a young fellow. I remember on a rainy day, rain falling, and you have to go to Trafalgar. And before you go to Trafalgar, you have to say a prayer before you pass under Cabanis there. Mr. Speaker, right now, people don't even know about that. But today, we see huge pieces of equipment, Mr. Speaker, going up there at ease. Equipment that will be used for the further transformation and development of our dynamic Dominica. Mr. Speaker, that is what you call vision and foresight. Now, Mr. Speaker, anyone who knows me well knows that I like to talk about DYBT, and I must speak about DYBT, the Dominica Youth Business Trust, and its vital role that it plays in supporting entrepreneurs in Dominica. Celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, alongside the 20th anniversary of our Honorable Prime Minister service, the DYBT remains a cornerstone of youth entrepreneurship. This budget allocation of $200,000 for the trust underscores this government's commitment to the advancement and strengthening of the organization and to the young entrepreneurs of Dominica by extension. Over the last financial year, we've hosted several training programs targeting entrepreneurs between the ages of 18 to 35, and we've successfully trained over 50 of them. The high demand for these programs underscores the strong interest in entrepreneurial development among our youth, despite what others may say, Mr. Speaker. Notably this year, we were able to introduce a program or a training on AI for business, Mr. Speaker, preparing our youth for the future. Mr. Speaker, the interconnectedness of government programs and projects is evident in the success stories emerging from the DYBT. Mr. Speaker, for instance, we have a client, right? He is employed at the Dominica Grammar School, a CBI-funded project, where he has developed skills as a steel bender. He came to the DYBT, he did training in entrepreneurial development. We have supported him in the development of his business plan. And today, he is in the process of applying for financing to open his own steel bending business. Mr. Speaker, this is just one example of how DYBT continues to positively impact the lives of our young people, providing them with skills and the support needed to thrive as entrepreneurs. Now, Mr. Speaker, many times you hear young people complain about things are slow, business is slow. You hear people talking about the economy this and the economy that. But in reality, Mr. Speaker, one thing we've learned is that one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face is the fact that not many people know that they exist. And if people don't know you exist, then that will have a direct impact on your sales. So while people are there blaming economy and economy this and economy that, really what needs to be done by a lot of these entrepreneurs is put more effort into making themselves more known. Mr. Speaker, to address the challenge of visibility faced by many entrepreneurs, the Trust hosted a first-of-its-kind caterer showcase, giving nearly 10 young caterers the chance to present their business to over 50 public and private sector entities. Mr. Speaker, that gave them the opportunity to go head-to-head with more established entities in the sector. The $200,000 allocation to the DYBT will ensure more opportunities like this, facilitating greater exposure to our young entrepreneurs. And it would be remiss of me if I did not place on record my heartfelt thanks to our Prime Minister and our Ministers for Youth. We have two of them just because youth, sports, and culture is so important, Mr. Speaker, for their unwavering support to the Trust. I also wish to thank the incredible team for which I have the honor and privilege to lead at DYBT. Now, Mr. Speaker, when our dear visionary Prime Minister speaks, I tend to listen attentively. And back in December of 2022, when our Prime Minister announced his new cabinet at the last election, he made mention of the matter of young men in crisis and the need to connect with them and find solutions to their issues. His words inspired the development of a project that the DYBT launched in May, the regional EU-funded initiative titled Fostering a Supportive Network Towards Empowering Youth Towards Stronger Economic Development. Yeah, very long title. Mr. Speaker, this project aims to harness the energy of our youth, engaging them in productive activities and supporting their contributions to societal development. And what is particularly noteworthy is that out of the 100 at-risk youth the project is targeting, approximately 60% will be male participants, Mr. Speaker. And through training and mentorship, the project seeks to create economic opportunities and jobs for vulnerable and at-risk youth, thereby helping them to reduce unemployment levels. Now, most importantly, Mr. Speaker, we understand that this is a unique demographic, and therefore we have taken a considerable amount of time to develop a specialized curriculum. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, you cannot come there and think that it's a traditional training setting where you have a blackboard or projector and you're going over slides. Mr. Speaker, that will not work. You could well imagine how high your attrition rate would be. But what we've decided to do and what we're doing is that we are incorporating a lot of gamification. How do you add different games to ensure that people are engaged, as well as a lot of hands-on activities, Mr. Speaker, just to ensure that we do not lose their attention. And we are optimistic that in the coming months, this initiative will take flight and begin to positively impact the many lives of our young people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to education. Mr. Speaker, in the area of education, no other government has made a significant impact as this DLP administration. Evidence of this administration's commitment to education is on full display today. Just take a look at the many primary and secondary schools currently under construction across Dominica and the provisions made for them in this financial year. In excess of $93 million budgeted between the recurrent and capital expenditure. Mr. Speaker, modern schools are essential as we advance our nation, providing children with state-of-the-art facilities and resources to enhance their experiences. And a prime example of this is the Goodwill Secondary School, which, as I understand it, Mr. Speaker, is poised to become a center of excellence, Mr. Speaker. These investments show a resounding dedication to providing the quality education for all, ensuring a bright future for our children and our nation. Now, Mr. Speaker, while on the topic of education, you'd be surprised if I told you that I consider myself a proud beneficiary of the Cuban Scholarship Program. Now, you might be wondering, how is this possible? Mr. Speaker, I've never been to Cuba before. Do I know Spanish, Mr. Speaker? Poquito, just a little bit. But I, a regular, everyday citizen, benefit from the expertise of my dentist, Dr. Shannon John, who is a Cuban-trained doctor, who is also a recipient of the scholarship program. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you about those Cuban-trained doctors. Their pride is unmistakably reflected in their graduates, and they have the same pride and attention to detail that artists have when they make their masterpiece, Mr. Speaker. And I bring this up because this is the broader perspective that we need to take when considering development and benefits derived from investments in education, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my dentist is one small example. We have many specialists at the hospitals, teachers at our schools, technical officers in ministries that all of us Dominicans benefit from daily. So truth be told, Mr. Speaker, we are all scholarship beneficiaries. The skills and knowledge our students gain from international education programs enhance our communities and country. And the impact can be seen across all sectors. Over the years, we've sent countless Dominicans overseas to pursue university degrees in various fields, demonstrating a dedication to nurturing future leaders, innovators, and professionals of our nation. These opportunities have empowered our youth to acquire knowledge and skills that are essential for the development and progress of Dominica. And actually, Mr. Speaker, some of these very leaders sit in this chamber here today. Now, While some may express concern about the occasional delays in payments, government payments, I believe that these are minor hurdles compared to the immense benefit that one student gains. I mean, at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, they obtain a degree. Just look at the United States, Mr. Speaker. Student debt is a major issue, often burdening graduates with financial stress for many years. Here in Dominica, our government-funded education assistance not only relieves our students from the weight of crippling debt, but also provides them with the freedom to focus on their studies and their career aspirations. By investing in education, we are not just helping individuals succeed, but we are building a stronger, more capable nation. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to the digital economy. Mr. Speaker, as we move rapidly into the future, leveraging the digital economy and adopting digital tools will be of critical success to any business venture. And we see here, just last week, as was mentioned prior, over $900,000 distributed amongst 77 local entrepreneurs. And Mr. Speaker, this marks even more progress towards a digitally empowered and resilient business environment, Mr. Speaker. Such interventions will surely revolutionize the way local businesses operate and enhance their efficiency and competitiveness, and of course, their overall success. Mr. Speaker, we cannot look at these and take these things lightly, Mr. Speaker, because here it is that a government is providing funding to a young entrepreneur to support them in accessing digital tools. And what digital tools have done is make life easier for people. So imagine you have purchased QuickBooks. Now, one of the challenges that we face in Dominica, especially when it comes to young entrepreneurs, is that of accounting. People will tell you they don't take records, they don't know the financial position of their business, but through this program and having the ability to procure such a powerful tool, Mr. Speaker, we are really setting up a lot of these businesses for major success, Mr. Speaker. Major success. Because you don't have to be an accountant to work QuickBooks. You put in information and you're able to read the reports. So this is how we are empowering our business community and supporting a thriving business environment, Mr. Speaker. And at the end of the day, embracing technology is what will enable our entrepreneurs to work smarter and not harder. And we are grateful, Mr. Speaker, to have a leader and a government that recognizes this. The automation of routine tasks, data-driven decision-making, and streamlined operations will free up valuable time and resources. And this shift will not only increase productivity, but also open up to new avenues of innovation and growth. Now, Mr. Speaker, this next point, I debated for a long time whether or not I was going to present it, because this next point is on geothermal. And after hearing Honorable Henderson in this House for successive parliamentary sessions, it feels like what more could you say about geothermal that hasn't been said already? But, Mr. Speaker, I did a little bit of research, and I'm going to try a thing, Mr. Speaker. I did a little bit of research, and, just permit me to look a bit down the road as to what the possibilities of geothermal may look like. Now, through my research, I learned that El Salvador has leveraged geothermal energy to mine nearly 474 Bitcoin since 2021. This innovative use of renewable energy has added approximately $29 million to their national treasury, demonstrating a novel intersection of technology and sustainability. This forward-thinking approach can serve as a model for us here in Dominica. Imagine the possibilities if we too could harness our abundant geothermal resources for such an innovative venture. Not only would this solidify our energy independence, but it could also open up for new economic avenues, attracting technological investments and placing Dominica on the map as a leader in renewable energy innovation. And this is yet another reason why I support the nearly $30 million allocated for the development of geothermal in this fiscal year, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Henderson? Idea? Thank you. I have to ask, now, Mr. Speaker, I turn to the international airport. Have to. The international airport will most certainly be a game changer for Dominica. And it will serve as a gateway to unparalleled opportunities and driving economic growth. And this is why I support the approximately $400 million allocated for its continued development. Mr. Speaker, just 2 weeks ago, I was in the United States, and I was having a discussion with a gentleman, and a Caucasian. So you know how the story goes, where you're from, you say Dominica, they ask you if you're Spanish, that kind of thing. But surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, when I said I was from Dominica, he knew where Dominica was. He knew about Dominica. And not Dominican Republic, Mr. Speaker, the Commonwealth of Dominica. And interestingly enough, he expressed to me that Dominica was on his bucket list of places that he wanted to visit. So I asked him, how you heard about Dominica? Actually, that was from Travel and Leisure. So what that tells me, Mr. Speaker, is that there's an interest. However, he did mention that he heard that flying to Dominica was a bit of a challenge. So for me, this reaffirmed 2 crucial points. One, Dominica is a much sought-after destination. And 2, the construction of our international airport is absolutely necessary, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, we are at a defining moment in our history as we move swiftly towards the realization of our dynamic Dominica. Soon, we will talk about what Dominica was like before the international airport and what Dominica is like now that we have an international airport. And in those future conversations, we will speak of direct flights from major tourism markets such as the United States, Canada, and Europe. We will speak of increased arrivals leading to more employment opportunities in hotels, restaurants, and tour companies. We will speak of greater attendance, international attendance at our festivals.
5 more minutes, 5 more.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Honorable Senator be given an additional 10 minutes to finish his presentation.
Mr. I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the Senator, the Honorable Phillip, be given an additional 10 minutes. Honorable Rolle, Senator Rolle, you are given an additional, sorry. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Yes. Senator, you're given an additional 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate it greatly. Now, Mr. Speaker, like I was saying, greater attendance at our festivals such as the World Creole Music Festival, Carnival, and this helps us promoting our heritage on a larger scale. And, Mr. Speaker, just a short thing about Creole Festival. I find, too many times you hear people in the general public on social media, Dominicans bashing our Creole Music Festival, thinking that they're hurting the government or the Prime Minister or the Minister of Tourism. But, Mr. Speaker, what they're really doing and who they're really hurting is the tour operators, the vendors, the taxi drivers, the makeup artists, and the whole list of stakeholders that Honorable Charles mentioned earlier. So I think that's something that we have to pay a bit more attention to and really speak more highly of our festivals and speak with pride of our festivals, because I think very soon we'll be picking up a Caribbean Music Award for Best Festival, Mr. Speaker. But also, Mr. Speaker, just to get back to this, you'll also hear of people flying down to sample some of the best medicinal cannabis products in the region. Now, Mr. Speaker, while I may not have the same energy as our former colleague of blessed memory, Honorable Ed Regis, I want to end on a bit of a high note. And I must place on record my strong support for the announcement made by the Minister of Finance of the engagement of a legal draftsperson to work on legislation for the cannabis industry and the establishment of a cannabis authority. The establishment of a cannabis authority underscores this government's commitment to developing a legal medicinal cannabis industry that is safe, effective, and beneficial. Now, one of the most compelling reasons to support the establishment of an authority is the medicinal benefits of cannabis, especially for patients suffering from serious illnesses like cancer. What this announcement means is that soon, the patient at home suffering from loss of appetite, nausea, pain, following treatment, will have access to medical cannabis to alleviate some of their ailments. Now, some might be saying, you know, well, I can get my oils already, I get my oils under the table, and while that may be true, by regulating the cannabis industry, the authority will ensure that the very same products, the very same patients will have safe, reliable access to high quality and consistent medicinal cannabis. And this will bring much needed relief to those who are suffering and support their treatment and recovery process. And Mr. Speaker, not to mention the revenue that you can generate from such an industry, Mr. Speaker. And I believe that the Cannabis Authority is a forward-thinking policy that will benefit our nation in many ways. And I commend this government for such a bold vision. Hey, I didn't need the 10 minutes after all. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, as I reflect on the theme of this year's budget, partnering to build the platform for sustainable growth and development, it is evident that all hands on deck are needed to yield positive results. The initiatives presented by the Honorable Minister for Finance clearly articulate our commitment to sustainable progress. This Dominica Labour Party administration has consistently worked towards building a resilient and prosperous nation. Our focus on leveraging technology, enhancing education, and fostering economic growth through major infrastructural projects underscores our dedication to the people of Dominica. And we are paving a way for a brighter future, where every citizen can thrive and contribute to the nation's development. And Mr. Speaker, at no time will we ever let the backstabbers among us lead the rest of us. As we continue to move forward, let us remain united in our efforts to build a strong foundation for sustainable growth. Let's also remember the importance of community, resilience, and faith. As we enter the most active part of this hurricane season, I ask for God's continued protection over our country. May we be spared from any harm and remain steadfast in our journey towards progress and prosperity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for affording me the opportunity to make this brief contribution this evening. God bless. Thank you.